วัสดีค่ะ When we talk about Buddhism, we tend to think about monks. But actually these days, there's a growing number of women practitioners around the world. I talked to Venerable Lekshe. She's a US citizen, but turned her interest into Buddhism a long time ago since she was a young girl at 11 years old. She's also an author, a professor, and founder of a nonprofit organization. I discussed with her what she thinks about Buddhism in today's fast-changing world. Venerable, why did you become a nun?
Well, I became a nun because I love the Dharma. I found that Buddhism was so useful for me. Even I grew up as a normal American girl, but I found that people have so many problems and they didn't know what to do. In the United States, people have a lot of family problems, there are a lot of social problems. I mean, people see the TV programs and they think that everyone's rich and happy, but it's not necessarily the case. People have lots of problems with drugs and alcohol and divorce and all kinds of problems. So for me, it didn't make any sense. Growing up there, people were not very kind to each other. And when I read about Buddhism, I thought, oh, this is fantastic. It shows us a way to live a happy life.
But do you yourself have problems in your life?
Oh, my family was typical, dysfunctional American family. Yeah, my parents were divorced and, you know, there was just a lot of unhappiness in the family. So that showed me that we need something deeper, some kind of spiritual nourishment. And how to train the mind. You know, the mind without any kind of direction, without any kind of moral guidance, the mind can easily just go wild. So for me, Buddhism was really a gift, and I'm very grateful.
How did you find Buddhism? In a bookshop?
No, actually, because my family name was Zen. Z-E-N-N.
Your last name?
Yes, my last name. And it's spelled Z-E-N-N. It's a misspelling of a German name. But because I had that name, people would ask me if I'm a Zen Buddhist. Then I asked the question, what is it? And I went to the library and found 2 books on Buddhism. This was in the 1950s, before Buddhism became popular. And I read those books from cover to cover and thought, wow, that's for me. And I loved it.
How old were you?
11.
11?
Yeah.
And you read it and you understood?
It made perfect sense to me.
Wow.
It made perfect sense. And so from there, I carried on, you know, trying to learn more and more. But it was very difficult in those early years because there wasn't much information about Buddhism. There were no temples, there were no teachers, there were very few books. So I had to struggle a lot. My search was a long one. It took me 13 years to get to the monastery. When I was 19, I had a dream. Actually, it was very similar to our meditation this morning, with nuns of many different nationalities and different colors of robes. And I saw this, everyone was so happy and peaceful, and I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a nun. But it took me 13 years to find a monastery.
So you think being a nun is the answer to the problems of your life?
For me, it was. Yep.
Just to say goodbye to all the worldly things?
Yep.
Is that what you think
You know,
is the way
being
it
a
is?
single woman in society is very difficult. To be a nun, it's a kind of protection. Yeah. And it's a kind of freedom. Then you don't have to get involved in all that dating and social
You can be single and still have a happy life.
You can. But then everyone wants to own you. When you're a nun, you're free.
So is that what you get out of being a nun?
That's one thing I get out of being a nun. Also, being a nun, you have more time to devote to meditation, to study, to serving society. When you're involved in worldly things, you have so many other obligations and commitments. It's more difficult to find time for meditation. If you're in a relationship, if you have a family, it's more difficult to find time to go for a meditation retreat, for example.
But do you
Yeah.
feel that you miss out on something on being a woman? A lot of women say that being a mother is the best thing that happens to them.
It may be. It may well be. But for me, I like being a nun. Yeah.
What is Buddhism to you?